appreciate all the fans that have come out to this point. When you get into conference play, it's almost needed, not wanted. Got to have a strong home court in this league to try to win as many games as you can. So we just call upon Red Raider Nation again. Hope everybody can come out. 1 o'clock tip. The whole idea of getting here early. I know we work really hard on the parking situation, all logistics, but when you expecting 15,000 people at a game, just asking people to consider trying to get here early. And but we really need your support. I think I stand by Kirby completely on some of the changes we made here, like the fan-friendly concession prices and this kind of thing. We're doing everything we possibly can to make this a true game day experience. So Big 12 home opener, we feel like we've done a lot of things to improve the experience. So thankful for the people that have been out to this point, just inviting anyone else that hasn't seen our team play yet. In terms of the opponent, K-State's one of the best teams in college basketball. It's not hard to understand why. They returned 5 starters from an Elite 8 team last year, picked by many people this year to compete for the league championship. Coach Weber is one of the best. He's taken multiple teams and tournament runs. Has been in the Final Four. His team is one of, if not the best defensive team in college basketball, and they have very talented offensive players. So this is the next game on the Big 12 schedule. We have nothing but respect for K-State and have had that for a long time. So we expect to have to play our best game of the season to this point to have a chance to win this game.
And Coach, you mentioned it there with you guys were an Elite 8 team last year, as were they. Is it nice to compare yourself against a team who knows how to win in those tough environments, knows what it takes to go far in the season? You kind of similar teams in that way. Is it nice to match up against a team like that?
I don't know, nice to match up when it comes to mine. I don't look forward to coaching against Coach Weber because it's just going to be a grind-out game. They don't make mistakes. They don't beat themselves. If you're going to score a basket against K-State, you better go earn it. And if you're going to get a stop against K-State, you have to make a play defensively to do that. So, again, maybe the best defensive team in college basketball, team on offense that shares the ball, takes good shots. They don't beat themselves. And then, like you said, they have a lot of experience. These are guys that every guy on their team's played in meaningful games. Most of their guys were on that Elite 8 team last year. So I think this is one of the best teams in our conference, which translates to being one of the best teams in college basketball.
Chris, how does they're not having a couple of their key personnel, how does that kind of change what they do or affect it?
Yeah, well, first you kind of expect the unexpected. I think it's kind of the chess match in this level. You never know whether a guy's coming back. I mean, I would think that both those guys are going to play sooner than later. So we prepare like both players will play against us. From a competitor standpoint, it's pretty scary when you play a team that is missing a key player because other guys always step up. The latest example of that would be in West Virginia a couple nights ago. From a competitor standpoint, I don't like to see the best players in the league not play. It's just kind of how I'm wired. So Konate, we planned for him to play, and we're kind of disappointed that he didn't because you want to have the best players. Just like last year with Keenan not being able to play and Zach, I didn't think that was good for the Big 12. So with these two guys, we expect for them to play. And if they don't, we recognize the challenge of playing against a team that's going to have the next man up mentality. It's almost scarier to think about playing them without one of their key players than it is to play them at full strength.
The other night, West Virginia, what do you think the difference was for Culver between first half and second half? Was it simply a matter of just the shots didn't go down in the first half and went down in the second half, or was there anything else different?
No, I think there's a lot of coaching going on. First of all, West Virginia with Coach Huggins, they were limiting his touches. They had a lengthy defender on him, and we didn't do a great job getting Culver the ball early. That falls on me completely. I take responsibility for that. And then he got in foul trouble, and we're a no-excuse program, so I'm not going to talk about the officiating, but just the reality of it is you've got to learn. You got to be able to play the game and not get in foul trouble. With the 5 fouls they give you in college basketball, you got to assume that there's going to be a couple of tough calls. So I thought Culver's decision to drive the ball with 2 fouls wasn't a very good decision, and I didn't think that I coached very good in the first half. Second half, we calmed down. We got him the ball more, and he played like an experienced player like he should. I give his teammates a lot of credit, too. We had a better emphasis screening for him and getting him the ball in the second half.
Again, Norrance being physical presence down low, kind of costing them in that West Virginia game with both of them fouling out. How do you balance them keeping that physical and presence down low, but playing smart enough not rack up some of the fouls that they have.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance. It's a tough thing. Victory's going to favor the more aggressive team, but you got to have your best players on the floor to compete in a Big 12 game. So we just have a process we stick with. All of our players every game study their fouls from the last game. First thing you have to do is, could discipline or more intelligent play kept me from getting some of these fouls? You always allow for just adversity. Players aren't perfect, coaches aren't perfect, the officials aren't perfect. There's going to be missed calls in the game. Lawrence was the subject to a couple of those. So I think it's just a process, and it's a discipline to try to play at this level and be at your best aggressive-wise, but also try to stay out of foul trouble.
Coach, later in that West Virginia game, I saw you guys run like a little bit of a 2-3 at the end of the game. How do you think your guys executed that, and could we see that a little later in the future as well?
I mean, yeah, definitely. We're going to do everything we possibly can to be competitive in these games. So we have multiple defenses, just like everybody in this league does. I've always given the players all the credit. When some of those things work out, they're the ones that execute and buy in. But the competition in this league is too good just to sit there and try to guard somebody the same way, possession after possession. Coaches are too good. Players are too good. So I think changing our defenses has helped us a lot this year. I think we've changed our defenses in every game this season at some point.
Of some of the newer guys to this team in their new roles, like the Deshaun Corpus or the Kyler Edwards?
Yeah, I think now we get to January, second conference game. I don't think there's anything such thing as a new player or returner. All these guys have got, I think today's our 63rd practice, and we've played, 12 or 13 games now. And now, I don't think there's no such thing now to me in my mind as new player or returner. Like, it's time. It's January. We should have a chemistry at this point. Now, although we're still trying to improve like every team, I think it's time to quit talking about new or returner. It's time to talk about everybody playing their best. And I would say that everybody on our roster has shown the ability to really help us. Now we strive for consistency. I can point off, a time where Corporal won a game for us, Brandon, Malik's played well. Now it's a time for everybody to find consistency, and that's the key to this time of year. It's impossible to win a Big 12 game when you got one or two guys have great games. You got to have 4 or 5 guys play about as well as they can play. Then you've got to have everybody on your team contribute in some way. And I think in West Virginia, good example, we've got the 3 guys getting to double figures. And then we had some key moments, especially in the second half, by everybody on the roster.
Coach, against West Virginia, it looked to me like you trapped and pressed maybe a little bit more than you had earlier in the season. What were your thoughts on how effective that was?
Yeah, again, just changing defenses. The opponent's too good. The other coach is too good just to sit there and be vanilla. And so, we're a team, we're going to go try to win the game. We're not going to try to hope the other team gives it to us. We're not going to try to hope that we didn't lose. We're going to try to win. There's an aggressiveness to this. We're going to throw punches. Sometimes when you throw a punch, you make yourself open to get hit. But I think at this level, the team that's the more aggressive, has a chance to win. And so that's who we're always going to be. It's no secret. We're not afraid to make an aggressive play on both ends of the court to give our guys a chance to win.
And could you talk a little bit about Brandon Francis, particularly late in the first half? You were down by 9. Looked to me like he came in and gave you a little bit of a spark.
Yeah, Brandon's one of our better players. I've always considered him my kind of starter. He's bought into the 6-man role. It's been really good for us. He brings energy off the bench offensively and defensively. It's good to see the ball going in for him. He spent so much time behind the scenes working on his shooting. He got a couple straight line drives to the basket and had probably the best pass of the game to Corporal the other night. But he's one of our top guys. Brandon has to play well for us to have a chance to compete. And I think Brandon's earned the right to play well through how he's basically just embraced work and how much time he puts in.
Coach, how comfortable was Norrance out there? I know he sat out, of course, against UT RGV out there, but how do you think he kind of played, and how's that hip treating him so far?
Yeah, I thought Norrance battled. One of the tougher guys in the Big 12, blocking shots, getting steals, got some big basket late, maybe the biggest basket of the game with about 3:30 left, caught the pass from Culver and put it in. So, I've said it before, it never gets old talking about. I just got a lot of respect for Norrance, everything he's been through and kind of how he approaches basketball. He's one of the leaders of our team. Norwich is far more than a stat sheet guy. You know, he's got to play well for us to win because he's one of our best players, but he also does all the intangibles in terms of leadership, toughness. I think, you know, we'll have to see how this deal plays out, but I think this guy has a chance to be one of the all-time winningest players in Tech history, has a chance to play in multiple postseasons. I think history will show Norwich is a winner.
Chris, what was your impression of what Coach Huggins said about your post-game celebration in the locker room?
Yeah, I'd be really clear on that. No one has more respect for Coach Huggins in West Virginia basketball, and I think that's well documented. Said it many times before. He's a guy that all coaches look up to. Coach Huggins has been good to coaches, especially junior college coaches like myself. We try to emulate their program in a lot of ways in terms of the passion of their fan base and how hard they play on defense, how they recruit, how they develop. You know, you think of West Virginia, we've told our guys a million times of the Carter story, the Dexter Miles story. I feel like I know these better than they might know them. So the respect is off the charts. I learned last night at about 7:45 that there had been some kind of issue. We don't allow cell phones when we're with our team at dinner. So about 8:05, I think, was the first time I had my phone. And then I reached out to Coach to make sure that he heard directly from me that if anything was misperceived, we apologize. But at the same time, we have a lot of respect for West Virginia. I think, in those deals, like, we're building a program here, and giving people and fans, especially our student body, access to our program is a key ingredient of it. In today's world where we don't have like a lot of 4 or 5 year players, we might get a 1 year player like a Zaire, we might get a transfer like Matt. The quicker our fan base can get to know our players and our program, it just helps. And so some of the things that we show were access, although it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, I understand. It's what people want. They want the behind-the-scenes look. So in our program, respect is a core value. We respect our opponent. But we also, these games are so hard to win that when we do have some success, we have a 12-hour rule where we want to celebrate our success. And so anything that happens in a closed-door locker room wasn't a sign of disrespect. To me, you kind of flip it. It's actually a sign of respect. Texas Tech had never won at West Virginia before. Our players knew it. Our staff knew it. To us, they're one of the pinnacle teams in our league. We're striving to get in the same neighborhood they live in. And so, we enjoyed that. But I just want to, make sure, again, straight from my mouth, nothing was meant disrespectful for West Virginia. Nobody respects the opponent more than we do. But that's just something, that we handled. So I reached out to Coach directly, and I hope that, there was no disrespect shown.
On Kansas State for a moment. From an X's and O's standpoint, what do you think kind of characterizes that team? In other words, a person might look at Texas Tech and say, when you see Texas Tech, you think defense. When you see Kansas State, do you think of what, one or two things?
Hey, Bruce Weber teams, this is one of, if not the best defensive team in college basketball. They're the best defensive rebounding team statistically. It's very difficult to score against them. It's just a grind team. They don't give up. They don't beat themselves. There's not a lot of mistakes. If you're going to score on K-State, you better go get a basket. You're going to have to hit some shots. They control tempo with their defense. Offensively, they have really good players. They have guys that are all conference players in the Big 12, guys that develop. But when I think of K-State, I think of Coach Weber. I think of sound defense. I think of unselfish offense, basically kind of March basketball. When you're in a game with K-State, it's like you're in an NCAA tournament game. It's a grind-type game.
Coach, in the future, will you continue to show those celebration videos, or has there been a policy change on that?
No policy change. We're going to be who we are. We're just going to, try to be careful just to make sure that nothing could be misconceived. So, question answered.
And Coach, we've talked multiple times about you when you want to build the fan base, build the support behind everything. How does that factor in with you as a coach with the concessions, with the selling alcohol? Is that something that you think can help that, or how does that factor in when you find out about that?
Yeah, we're here to win, so anything that's about winning, we're involved in. And when you build a program, it's not your job to coach your guy. We think of the big picture, so we're constantly thinking about things to improve our program. And I work with two of the best guys I've ever worked with, Kirby and Tony Hernandez and Chad before Tony got here, and we're all on the same page. We're trying to build a program. We're not just trying to win the next game or have a great season. We're trying to build an elite program. And with that, there's a lot that goes into it. At the top of the list is the relationship we have with our fans and our fan base and attendance. So, when we hear things, we try to respond, although we can't answer to everything, and although no one's always going to be happy. Whether it be parking or ticket pricing or concessions, we're involved in every part of this program because we're trying to win.